go live. Okay. Now, there was a delay due to technology. As usual, there's always technology issues, isn't there? And sometimes these messages were delayed to come through. I have written down a few things that I wanted to say, and that's that the shop's open. If you are wanting a booking, you can go to the link, which hopefully, if this saves, this is my first time, I will put the link directly below. Otherwise, you can have a look at the other twin flame videos and they will have the link on it directly. Now, for those of you on your twin flame journey, I sympathise with you. I'm a twin flame myself, which many of my clients that have come through to me, I'm incredibly grateful. Hey, we're able to share that connection and understanding. So I think really it is a family sort of thing, even though during that process you'll pretty much feel that you're completely out there alone, that you're going crazy, that it's a very toxic environment. But hi again, it wasn't meant to kill us, it's meant to make us stronger. Hi Hadley, how are you? Long time no chat. Happy birthday. Okay, so as I'm saying g'day, I will give you an update. Now, thank you for the subscribers, because you guys are what makes the channel. Very happy that it's reached 5,000. Hello, Antonella, love you. Thank you for helping me on my twin flame journey. You've been an angel. I'd like to give a big thanks to my girlfriend, Lauren, who I haven't seen. Hello, lovely. Also, Kelma, who is working in the spiritual realm as well. I'm glad. Who else do I need to thank? Obviously, you guys for coming through and trusting me with your bookings. Definitely, most of you will know that when we're doing the actual private bookings, they're so different to what tapping into the energy would be, you know, into a zodiac sign. That did come as a challenge. And although I have had this gift for a long time, hi, it was very unique to actually tap into a zodiac sign, which wasn't a direct person. But I'm working on that and it's getting a lot stronger. So the interesting thing is when I was meditating on you guys, the twin flames, us, most of us are wanting to know what's going on with the masculine. Hi, that's okay, anytime. The funny thing is, ladies, it's all about the feminine. And that is because we are up in our heads. We are thinking a lot at the moment. And like I said, there's two groups. And I mean, I had a question the other day and it was to do with the fact, hello Aquarius, it was to do with the fact that are we all twin flames? Now, I don't really want to get into the technical side of it, but depending on where you are in your journey. Now, it could be that you're an old soul. And spiritually speaking, I would say it depends on how many times you've had to relive your life. And I have shared some stories with a few people. So theoretically, yes, theoretically, no. Some of us that are going through the most arduous time with our twin flame, we are generally the oldest souls. So the lessons and the things that we're physically choosing are because we were strong enough to do it, basically. But definitely a lot of the energy that has been coming through, especially this week and this fortnight, has been very much to do with house, as you'll notice in your general zodiac signs. So, yeah, no joke, it is. So anything to do with house will be coming up. Now, if you are in direct connection with your twin flame, you will vibrationally be communicating in relation to your home, your accommodation, or dealing with energies within inside the home. Next month is a very different energy, and it's quite an aggressive energy, so please brace yourselves. It's quite an assertive energy. And generally I meditate on each zodiac sign, and a lot of what has been coming up is what is home. Now, this year being a number 1 year, what we've been going through has been basically turning your life upside down. So your job will not relate to you, and if it does, you will be sort of in the mindset of saying, well, this is suitable because I am in hermit mode. And when you're in hermit mode, it's easier to actually do the same thing than to uproot your entire life and change it. the universe will only accept that for so long before, if that job doesn't vibrationally connect with you, your life will be flipped upside down and the job will go by the wayside. And as I said, you'll get warnings, so it'll sort of be like, yeah, this job doesn't really connect with me. So you'll sort of have things like that going on, but every aspect of your life is really going to have a shake-up this year, and has been anyway. So your friendships, what is directly connected to you and what isn't, that's going to be changing. You will also have a very close friend who is a connection to you to trigger old issues connected to your twin flame union. Yeah, it's very common. It's because spiritually, you've physically changed to a point where who you were before is not who you are anymore. And this is for everybody. It's not just twin flames. But that's the universe basically taking over and saying, you heard the call, you haven't changed, you are ready, but you know, this has to go because it doesn't connect to you spiritually. Your potential of what you are is so much more than what you were before. So therefore, it's your mindset on the 3D that is actually telling you, I'm not capable, I don't have the tools, I can't do that. Now, your twin flame union was directly connected to that. The thing was, when you were in union with your twin flame, basically, you would do anything and you would have moved mountains for them. The thing was, it was about them, it wasn't about you. So you needed to come to this place where what they physically saw in you in the initial stages was your capability, your strength, your loving nature, your assertiveness, your passion in life. And somewhere you were so absorbed, both of you, not just the masculine, the feminine, is that it became like you were drowning. And the only way you could own your power was to physically have that removed. So upon it being removed, you then felt very angry at the world that you had to fend for yourself. And how is that remotely possible? For some of you, you might have been single parents. You might have been abandoned by many karmic partners and really had those trigger points where you've had to work directly on the blocks that were directly connected to you. So stepping into that power has actually helped you realize your potential and how strong you are. Over, I would say, depending on, again, where you are in your twin flame journey, for some that I've read for, you might be in a cycle where you're very old souls. So it might be a 6-month process, you know, where it moves. For others, it could be 15 years. It could be on and on and on, but you're getting stronger each time. And I do very much believe that for many of you who are further along in the journey, it is very, very close. So if you're not directly in communication and contact with your twin flame right now, it will be very soon. I don't believe it's a reunion though, because at a 3D level, yes, it is. At a spiritual level, you would have felt directly married to this person, even though, for not all of you, that, okay, on the 3D, we can walk down the aisle, we can get married. At a spiritual connected level, the feeling you have towards this person, and after everything they've done, is, oh my gosh, why can I not just quit? The love that you have, everything that had been pulled down like a tower effect, all that is supposed to remain is love. So it's not what they've done, what road you went, the chaos around you. The more you step into your physical power, where you are providing for yourself, you have that internal peace and that love, where you have your own friendships, where you've had the spiritual growth, where even the affairs themselves directly connected to the dramas that have transpired within the union, even those things no longer hurt you, because you realize that when you were with them, it was dynamite. Then it felt like an explosion after they left, but then the whole road was, well, I feel terrible without them anyway, so what's the difference? So then the 3D issues of what happened never hurt you again. Now, when I'm saying that, I'm trying to explain that you will vibrationally know when your twin is ready. You will know when they, by the way they speak, by their actions. Now, the masculine and the feminine have very much swapped their energy. So a lot of the way they used to act, you're going to start acting. So your energy before was, it was all talk, yet there was no action. So the funny thing is, a lot of what's going to be coming through is very much actions, not words. But this is going to frustrate you because that's what you were used to. So you will see when the connection comes about, depending, as I said, where you are in your journey. For others of you who are further behind, what you'll feel, I don't know why it's lost sound. Has it lost sound? Please tell me. Can you hear me? I'm hoping it hasn't, because I really don't want to start this again. Cool. Okay, might be your computer. Okay, so for others of you who aren't in that connection, what you're going to find is it'll be more at a 5D, so from a spiritual connection. So the triggers that I'm going to talk about of what I feel is going on, for those of you who aren't in direct communication with your twin, what you're going to find is it's going to be more on the connection of your feelings, your feelings, your vibes, and everything else like that that's going on. So a lot of what is happening is very much connected to the feminine this fortnight, and it might even be for 4 weeks. Now, you're questioning your sense of self. You also are questioning whether this is even real. You know it's real, but for some reason you're going over old paradigms of your belief systems. You also are having a swap of energy where they're very much questioning if you're even remotely interested anymore, be it you are in communication or you're not. They're very much not understanding why your energy has physically changed, and that it's like you're on 2 different pages. You're directly doing the same thing, and that's very much a way you can tap into your twin's energy. Is when a trigger comes up in you, what you're going to need to do is say, okay, I'm sensing or feeling something directly connected to my twin. Try not to focus on them. Shift it then back to you and say, okay, well, what is this trigger coming up? Is it directly connected to the past? So you might be all of a sudden vibrationally feeling something that has happened to your twin, or a feeling that you're getting about your twin, and it might be a sense of panic all of a sudden. You need to know the difference between your energy and their energy, and with practice, a lot of you being twins will be very psychic and very intuitive, and that could be just directly connected to your twin, where you could be going about your day doing dishes, or, you know, for the blokes, doing the lawn, and suddenly your twin pops into your head. So it can be either way. When you're picking up that vibe, it could be suddenly you have a panic attack, or, you know, anything like that. This is just mainly an example. You need to follow your intuition connected to that. Now, if it's thoughts directly connected to something that you had physically gone through, you then need to work on that area. So it's directly connected to a block then, which you need to purge and you need to work on. So it could be something connected to maybe a karmic partner entering the situation, or a cheating situation happening, or, you know, connections to drugs or alcohol, a trigger point coming up in your mind where you're very much stepping back and saying, oh, I don't want that. You know, am I ready to vibrationally handle that? You need to work out what the trigger point is and why it's coming up. And if it's coming up in you and you're you're thinking, oh, I'm questioning the scenario, you then need to heal that aspect of that block of what's going on, because that's directly connected to you. When you're going through these trigger points, it means your twin is receiving your thoughts. So if you're all of a sudden thinking back to a time, that was a block within your union, what you're going to have to do is say, okay, if you've directly thought it, then you've felt a bit ill about it, work on that area. And then what will directly happen is your twin has literally received that information. So as they've received that information and you're physically choosing to work on that area, what will then happen is they will start working on that being ready for you and ready for union. Okay. You will see more forward movement in a sense of it moving. I don't feel they will continue to deny it. See, the thing is, your perception connected to them denying it is, again, like I said, a lot of what you're going to see is not verbal. So you've got to remember the initial stages would have been more talk, talk, talk and no action. That might have been through the transitional bubble in the middle, right? So because of that, because we've had the swap of energies, what is now happening is the masculine knows that words are cheap. They physically have to show you. So although you'll be used to hearing the words and wanting to hear the words, the two have to meet up where they both are directly connected. So your twin will be working on ways they can physically prove to you, show to you, so for you to actually visually see that they've physically changed. And it isn't just the masculine that needed a change, the feminine did as well. And it's not to say that within the imperfections on both sides it wasn't perfect. It was that the perfect side and the imperfect side needed to be accepted. It's like the scales, and that's why we're in the year of Libra, where, it had to be to a point where everything was balanced. So your work will be in question, your home will be in question, your friendships will be in question. Don't get panicked about where you're going to live connected to your twin. Directly connected to them, what sort of an explanation were you wanting? Sorry, I'm just answering a question. Explanations from them in a sense would be yes. When you're in communication within the union, when it comes closer and you're in direct communication, there's going to be several trigger points. Now you need to go back in your memory connected to of the anxious feelings. Okay, well, as I said, the shop's open. There are products directly on the website that can balance the chakras. You also need to tune out of your twin. If the energy becomes very overwhelming, what you're going to need to do is ground yourself and try and change your mind, in a sense of thinking of something else. Any questions I don't answer, I'll try and go back and answer them after. I apologise. It's like trying to tune at the same time. Don't stress if they're finding a new relationship, because karmically speaking, before you got here, you chose this path. Don't look at the people that are directly connected to them in any karmic form as they can replace you, because if anything, the reason they walked from you is because they knew you were perfect for them, and their vibration was they weren't worthy of that. They will have triggers directly connected to their childhood, as for you, that blocked their sense of belonging. So to speak, you would have felt like a black sheep of the family. So there will be triggers directly connected to that will they'll have to work in life to actually work through those areas. And for the feminine, definitely they would have come to a point where they might have just done so much within the family, but really not had the respect directly connected to it, or the notation directly connected. So sort of feeling like you would do everything for everyone, but at the same time really not appreciated, so to speak. But that was the challenge within the energy. You know, it was almost like an addictive pattern to kind of purge so that you actually placed yourself first. So at times you may have very much gone overboard to help people, whereas then the energy would have shifted in a sense where you had to take your power back. And that was what the masculine assisted you in doing. So, you know, even you physically having this connection with your twin has been to your benefit. It is heartbreaking, but the strange thing is everything that's hurting you is actually building your heart larger, because the thing you can't fathom is, how can I love this person regardless of my pain that I've gone through? And you physically can, because when you think of it, the 3D of the way society has been and the way we have been connected to loving relationships, you know, the old paradigm of white picket fence, 4 kids in the traditional way, marriage, and you stayed together till death do you part. Did you love each other? And, you know, if there was an issue in it, did it kill it to the point where you couldn't love that person any longer? And in a karmic situation, that's what happens. So you've got to look at it from that point of view, you know, because with everything that your twin's done, directly you still love them, but you very much are afraid of them because you hate the fact that your heart is so vulnerable. And that is the direct connection. It's the fact that your heart is so wide open to this person, which is open for wounding, that you don't trust yourself because you cannot say no. So all of this has been a test to get to the point where you can physically be safe and, you know, not get hurt. But it will come to a vibrational point where all it simply is pure love, that it has absolutely nothing to do with a roof being put over your head, or, you know, be it from the feminine point of view to the masculine, you doing their washing. And I'm talking very layman terms here, you know, it's very simple terms. So it's more to the point where it's not about bills, it's not about the masculine being, you know, your savior. It's about pure love, where it's just you're both okay being individually beautifully yourselves, and it is, even with the hurdles and the yuck, you still love each other no matter what. So, but that's future, and that's dependent on where you guys are. But you will vibrationally know when your twin's ready. You will know when to move forward and when to move back. You will also know, how can you say it? What I was saying before was every area that was a trigger in your life previously directly connected to your twin union, you will find will come up again in the connection. But it will be like this year has been. Very much we've had snippets of last year where trigger points have come up, but they've been for very brief moments. So any trigger you had directly connected to your twin before is going to happen again, but in a test factor, as a trial run for you to step into your power. Feminine, you guys are, depending on what has happened to you and how it happened, you will very much have the masculine energy on board where you're very assertive and to the point. So any weaknesses you directly had before, you just won't put up with it. And it's not that, it's almost like, you know, you, and I know that's a harsh way of saying it, but you don't want to be that way, but you sort of do get to a point where you're standing in your power and you're saying, look, I unconditionally love you, but I cannot accept that. And that's okay, that's good. Those trigger points before, you know, would have broken it. If you had had that energy back then, you know, certain ways in which you spoke to them, certain actions that you had, if you didn't give 100%, you know, they would have been taken from you, or they would have removed themselves and broke that contact with you. Don't fall into that energy. And you physically won't. You won't be able to, because vibrationally speaking, you physically have changed. For those of you, again, who are further down the track, again, this is a vibration you'll be feeling. So you will very much be stepping into your energy and coming to a point where you're saying, no, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm actually stepping into the power, you know, and working with that. Yeah, definitely, boundaries. But it's not ridiculous boundaries to the point you're bubble wrapping yourself, because that's not what this is about. The boundaries won't be necessary. The verbalization as such is going to physically remove the blocks you both have. And then when you come to that feeling where you're physically feeling safe with each other, there won't be a need for boundaries because you will vibrationally know what you will and won't accept. The love you feel is that even if 50 years passed, you directly are still connected and you can't get away from each other. So the trigger points in you that are coming up mentally speaking and emotionally, as they're getting stronger and yuckier, it means your twin's coming. It's you in preparation for the onset of them coming. Triggers. Sorry, I'm just reading away. Where was I? Away with the fairies. Yeah. I'm reading away. It's very interesting. Yeah, look, the narcissism, again, I find the more trigger points. The masculine is dealing with a lot at the moment. A lot of what I had in the last video is still very much relevant. It's like they're being squeezed through the eye of a needle, and a lot of their hang-ups directly connected to childhood are very much being purged at the moment, and they're very heavy energies. That they were very toxic energies for the masculine. So this can be directly connected to abuse or a feeling of worthiness, lots of things. I mean, it's too hard to go into, in a short video, but definitely huge, heavy energy. Now, blocks connected to, it will either be a mother figure or a father figure are trigger points for the masculine. And both, really, but in a different level. They're dealing with that and looking at that as, for one of them, it would have been a bubble where it was safe, and this person might have been removed from their life. So it might be a mother or father who's passed over, or that they're physically not connected to. Also, it could have been a father figure who was either very, very hard or could never be pleased. So it can be a swap of energies, but it was a very toxic environment. Now, directly connected to the feminine, the reason you guys can totally relate is because you were going through the same thing, but at different ways. So you directly could relate to each other, even if the conversation never come up. Being twins, you vibrationally sort of will have similar roads, but it will be in different ways. It's like the yin and yang. They don't expect you to be perfect. Although in your mind, the thing and the trigger point for the masculine is they cannot understand why you love them. That is why they remain away. That is why they are trying to change and work on their demons, because directly connected to it, they know they've hurt you. And it hurts them a great deal to know that for some reason that happened. Now, they do know that they in a way, it is shame connected to it. And ego as well, a sense of ego. So they're wondering how to go about making communication for those of you who aren't. And the universe is going to push them. So even though their ego is blocking them like a fake wall, their ego is pushing them to a point where it's saying to them, well, even if you know you don't want to talk to them, you know you have to. So it's going to be out of their control. And you will, like I said, you will know there will be small signs. Now, the signs you might get connected to the union coming about, you will know your twin well. So it will be connected to something on the 3D visually. You might start seeing street signs, number plates. You may hear their name on the television or the radio, or you might hear songs directly connected to your twin flame union. And it may be songs from many moons ago, and you think that is really bizarre that that's come about. Now, if you don't believe it, what will then happen will be it happening again and again. It can also be suddenly people coming back from the past and, mentioning this person's name, or people directly connected to your twin. Even with the no contact, you're directly connected. They will be entering into your dreams. At some point you will feel no energy at all, and it will feel like they've actually passed away, and it's a strange feeling. It depends on how many of you have sensed this, but you might get to the point where you're feeling them and you can sense them and you can visually see them in your mind's eye, and then all of a sudden physically feeling nothing and feeling quite panicked, like they're physically not there. That's when they're physically working on themselves, because you can't tap into their energy. But when you are thinking of them, yeah, it is. It's a very frightening feeling, and a lot of you might be having dreams connected to floating in water, where you and your twin are asleep as well. So it might be that you're physically floating. There might be pyramids directly connected to it. Why? I don't know. Also, there may be other dreams where you feel very tired and all you picture is not an intimate action, but more sleeping, just sleeping and resting your soul with your twin. And that's because both of you are physically fatigued by this journey. Please, if you're not in direct connection with your twin, do not panic. If you're feeling the fatigue, please rest. Yeah, because any rest you get now, you're going to need. I'm telling you, you are going to need it. So don't panic it's not happening, because it is happening. What else have I forgotten? Okay, the masculine is coming to a point where they have a decision. Now, for those of you who aren't in union and your twin is directly connected to a karmic partner, this is where they're at. Now, it can be very interesting how this directly relates. Children also are directly connected for some given reason. Children will be very important to the masculine and the feminine. And this is directly connected to your childhood. You know, the way you think is right to raise children. Children will very much gravitate towards you, even if you're not directly a child person. It's like you're a light worker. I can't explain it, but children will be directly connected to the union in some shape or form. They will also bring about triggers from your childhood on both sides. Yeah. No, I don't feel you can have more than one twin. I feel, from my experience, as well as the amount of readings I've done for twins, I wouldn't be surprised if we all have a twin, depending on what lifetime. Now, you will definitely know which one is your twin. The one that you gravitate towards all the time is directly your twin. Also, many years for some people might pass. Yeah, I agree. It's just such an energetic feeling, nobody can ever replace them. There will, however, be someone who comes along in a karmic sense prior to union, and this will be, there's a mosquito and it's really bothering me. It will be sort of like a trigger point for you to purge aspects of your twin, and that's not for everyone. Hi, Wendy. That's not for everyone, but in some shape or form, aspects of your twin's personality will come through in another person, and it doesn't have to be a physical relationship. It can even be a friend and some mannerisms that they had. You know, for mine, I do recall a twin doing this to me, and, you know, that, yeah, and then somebody else did that, and it was like, whoa, that's a bit of a trigger point. So there can be little things directly connected to what they do and signs. Look, it'll be anything from cologne you'll start smelling that was directly theirs, or, you know, it can be something they directly would collect, and suddenly you start seeing hundreds of them. They're just examples. You know, in the private readings, obviously I'll go into great detail, but in this given situation, it's, yeah, I've got to rush through it. What else was I picking? Okay, so the up and down and the left and right, as I was describing before, they have a direct thing that they've got to make a decision on at the moment, energetically speaking. And I do feel as though for the masculine, the tough bit is not so much time, time won't matter at some point for either side. You'll come to a point where you're so exhausted that time will not matter anymore, because that actually blocks it as well. So if you focus on time, or, you know, for some of you who are wanting children, your biological clock or anything like that, you're actually blocking it. So tune out of it, because it's an aspect of a block. It's not directly connected to your road. When it comes to a decision, this can be directly connected to all the stuff he's been working on. Now, he's been working on childhood. He's been working on worthiness, his blocks, his feelings directly connected to relationships. Now, for many masculines, they might have had something directly connected within the family connection that he grew up in that made him fretful connected to connections. This could have been through a karmic partner, but a lot of the times it can be directly connected to the quality of maybe a family life, and maybe perhaps that's why the block was directly connected. But it'll be relevant to how your twin was, if that makes sense. I'd have to directly tap into your twin. There's too many twins. So energetically speaking, depending on what his given situation is right now, it could be anything from making a decision on a left or right basis. This is either connected to their karmic partner, their given situation of where they're currently living and how they're living. Now, they're jumping between two worlds at the moment, and it's, do I want to have a life this way, or do I want to have a life this way? And they know it's going to change everything. So they're worried about, if they do that, how will life look? Feminines, you have come to a point where you had very much tried to be very organized and tried to be very calculated, in a sense of anticipating and guessing what's going to happen next in life. And I'm not just talking in the union. I'm talking about being over prepared for scenarios where it was an aspect of control. Now, many of us, even non-twin flames, have very much come to a point where we have not bothered doing that, because it's one thing after another. This has pushed us into a position where we have given up the aspect of control, where we roll with the day. So instead of being super organized and maybe getting everything prepared so that if chaos hits, you're prepared, you're using the tools you've physically learnt over the years to deal with the energies as they come in. You're not sweeping it under the carpet, because if you do, you know it's going to pile up and you know something else is coming, and that's because you're moving forward towards your twin. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. Let's just enjoy. Any questions? Are there any signs before union? Coming to a point where you're so exhausted that you know it's there, but you don't care. And I don't know how to explain it. It's sort of like you get to a point where you feel like you've walked the Great Wall of China, and you come to a place where you say to yourself, it's going to happen, but you know what? I'm so tired. Yeah, you do believe it, but you don't believe it, but you definitely do, you know, intuitively, you know to the core that your twin's coming. You know you're always connected, and it is very much like an umbilical cord. And there are times where you're so cross at yourself because they could be in a karmic relationship and you could give them blessings, but you still love them regardless. It's very much unconditional love. So it doesn't matter what they've done yet. In their minds, they're more angry at themselves than you physically are. That's another kind of reality that you'll find closer to union is it's not you don't care. You've outgrown being hung up on the crap that has happened because it doesn't serve you. So it's very much coming to a place where you can't turn back time. So you come to a place where you've done so much work, so much crying, so much healing, that you physically come to a point that you think, well, I do forgive you. that is another thing when the connection does come, is you will have to repeat that many times because they are feeling so unworthy of this connection that you will physically have to explain it over and over again that they're your one. And they can't grasp that somebody would love them unconditionally. And it is directly connected to childhood. And that's very much where their attitude comes through within their life of what they feel that they're grandly entitled to. And, both of us really are on a huge healing path. And it's that love where no matter what you look like, what your walk of life is, it's the way you physically feel about the person. It's not the 3D of what you physically see. It's the essence of the person and what they mean to you to the core. Another question? Who can type fast? Nobody. What else? Okay, another sign would be directly, okay, can you move on? Yes, 100%, but it's not going to go. So if you physically feel okay to move on, you were meant to, but not for the reasons you actually think. What you'll find is some will move on to karmic partners and have many happy years. It will at some point vibrationally change. It might be where your road has to be. So for some, you might physically get married, have children, and, be away from union. The thing is, entering into the situation for a very brief time, you will find that it will feel fine and it will be great. And you will be thinking, I'm receiving everything my twin couldn't give me, but you're missing the point and it's a point you will realize through the process. And that's not to say don't do it. The reason I'm saying that is because if it was part of your life path, you were meant to do that, because the person who enters and gravitates towards you is energetically meant to come to you because they had aspects to help you purge or get rid of the hurt connected to that, because your heart needed to heal. So even if it means you had 10 years with a karmic partner, it's not wrong. You were meant to vibrationally go through it. From some of my experience with the readings I've done with certain twins, they have entered marriages and they had been there for a while. But energetically speaking, when your twin awakens, and you do too, it doesn't matter how far away, you could be in a different continent. It won't matter where you are. Once the switch is turned back on, you're in trouble, because then you go through that cycle of stepping into your power and having to walk out of the scenario. Now, the things your twin did to you, if it was energetically wrong, connected to, how can I explain it? If there was a poor way in which it ended towards you, and I mean poor, you will choose to use your energy differently when removing yourself from the karmic partnership, because you want that karma to be balanced. And when it's balanced, it will work for you. Yeah, so what was the other thing I was thinking that I needed to tell you? You will come to a place where, and this is another sign of union nearing, you will come to a place where even if you're alone, you'd rather be alone, because nothing else will sort, nothing else will be. You just know that this is the person for you. So there will be that vibration. There will also be I'm not even going to get up in my head about it, when it's going to happen, because it is what it is. I'm in love with this person and this is my one. there will be also a definite change within your life. For a lot of the feminine, you may have come to a place where you're physically working on aspects of your career, your goals and your dreams, traveling, your friendships. For the masculine, very much having that freedom and not being tied down, because they in some shape or form might have been over the top responsible, but then the energy being shifted, they would have received the feminine energy where they were trying to do everything by the book and everything right, and swapping energy, so to speak. And it's not to say that the feminine did everything perfectly. That's not what I'm saying. It's just a swap of energies. And the direct way you can know is think back to your relationship. Hi. And how it was. And you know the history of it. So try and paint that picture of your relationship in your head and swap the energies, and you'll see what's happened. So it might be that your twin would never call you, and suddenly when you're in direct union or connection, so to speak, yet again, suddenly there's a swap of energy. And it's not that you mean that in a way where you're trying to teach them a lesson. It will physically happen, and that will help them purge an aspect of something they went through. But it's not that you're energetically doing that to punish them. It's that it just comes about, and you don't mean for it to happen, if you know what I mean. So you've got to look back on your history of your relationship, and they are direct bits and pieces that you just swap the energy and sort of see how, when the connection comes back, it will flow on. And those trigger points connected to that will come up in hints and snippets. So if other people entering and interfering in the relationship was an issue, trigger points connected to that will come up. If there were other people directly connected with trying to take your twin away, those triggers will come up. You know your story. That is a direct connection to what you can do and what's going to come up. But you won't be able to heal the entirety of it until you're in direct connection with your twin again. Any other questions? Can't believe I've gone 46 minutes. Okay, connected to the karmic partner or abandonment issues or any of that, work on that area. When a trigger comes up connected to the karmic partner, now, be it the masculine or the feminine, vice versa, however it goes, the way you've got to look at it is this person's not real. This person you actually chose to help your twin learn what they needed to. Hello. So look at them as though their energy is not a power. Because if you think about the connection, they could be in a different country and it hasn't stopped you loving them. You physically feel they don't think about you, yet intuitively you're directly connected. So in a way, it's like you're fooling yourself. So if you think of it from that aspect, you need to picture your twin and not the karmic. Give energy and gratefulness to the karmic, but try not to tap into their energy because you're giving them the energy. What happens is, it's a bit like we're morphing our fears from ourselves directly into a scenario. So the reason this person in a karmic sense has turned up in your twin's life is because you physically had blocks connected to you being ready for that union. So look at that person and remove the energy. Let it go. Understand that they're helping your twin heal without your twin punishing you. And release the plug because you're giving that karmic partner energy and you're helping manifest it. So we actually feel we have no power over other scenarios, yet we do know about the power of manifestation and co-creation. You don't want a crystal ball because then we wouldn't have a great story. Every aspect of your journey is your history and your story, and it's what will bind your union together. So you don't want to jump ahead. Everything you're physically going through right now, you were meant to physically go through. Yeah, of course there could be same-sex twins. It's a soul connection. So, however you directly are drawn to that and physically chose this life path, it's what was destined for you. I mean, I was going to do a video a while ago directly connected to, and it's a touchy subject. And by no means am I purely religious. I have 2 family members that are of different cultures. So I'm very spiritual. I have a multicultural family. Yeah, there you go. So my very first memory, which I cannot believe I'm telling the story and nobody get angry at me. Okay, obviously since childhood, I've been psychic. In the day I was growing up, and probably even the generation before me, it was very taboo. So the very first memory I kept to myself probably till I was in my 20s. Now, my very first memory was of me being in, it was sort of like, it looked like Greek ruins. Now, there were clouds around and there was a man who approached me, and it was like he was communicating with me telepathically. And he asked me what I wanted to do on this journey. And I recall looking at him. He was very tall, I'd say more than 6 foot, and he had a very long kind of cover on. And he walked over, and I knew physically the form in which he was showing himself to me was not physically what he was. And I walked towards a very large book, and this book was my life. It was what I was supposed to learn. And in this book, I recall the last journey I had was I was very cross at myself. I did not complete a task and I didn't know what it was. But I do recall looking ahead, and there was a lower place, which again, it was like Roman ruins, and there were my family members sitting at the bottom. Now, I recall they had passed over and their souls were with me on the other side. Hello. And I do recall looking at them and feeling sad, but knowing I would see them again. And I opened the book, and he asked me what I wanted to do on this cycle. And I went to the very back of the book, and it was a very large book. And I remember I picked my body, I picked my family, I picked my life path, I picked the people who were to enter into my life. The next thing I know, he said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And I walked to the edge, and I remember there were clouds, but it was like I was galaxies away. The next thing that happened was I felt like I was going through a wormhole. And with that wormhole, I felt this great draw, and it was like, again, I could see galaxies and stars moving, and then I was born. And that's my very first memory. So it's helped me, in a way, understand that I do feel, physically speaking, that the reason I was so angry at myself is because, and my twin flame journey has been a very difficult one, and that's not to undermine any of your journeys. I feel being psychic and being a twin, I'm able to help you better because I've had such an arduous journey. Hello. So what I physically know now is that I came back to redo this twin flame journey, and I knew that I had to do it this time. So can twin flames not go through with it? 100%, but guess what? You're going to be back again. And it's such a frustrating process because I do recall picking this hard road, but nothing we've picked is ever what we can't handle. If you get into a point of quitting on you, that is not about your twin, and your twin will then quit on themselves. We're married to our twins. And even if we did, you know, at a 3D level, yes, twins do marry. Any other questions? Even our karmic partners. They do hurt their karmic partners. But not, their karmic partner is their asset. Their karmic partner gets them to understand your perspective. That's okay. Yeah, their karmic partner is the end of the road in a sense of when they're nearing union. their karmic partner brings about triggers and aspects connected to who you are. They may feel, okay, and I did say this to another twin flame kind of personal booking I did, and the karmic partner they end up with is like a handbag, and I'm quite a joker, so they have something that looks good on the 3D, and hey, they could be super attractive or super hot depending on how it is, but what you're going to find is at the 3D level of what they feel society would feel they should be in is where they end up. But the trigger point is, and this is for the feminine and the masculine, how does that vibrationally feel? You could have, you know, the most wonderful relationship, but does it directly spiritually connect? So for many twin flames, you will forsake everything and live in a tin shack. Again, don't worry about an ex or a karmic because you're giving energy to it. Energetically speaking, if an ex is attacking the masculine directly when you're in union, it's a trigger point, but the trigger point is directly connected to you and him. So in a way, it can be almost amusing yourself with the sense of them owning their power because the masculine's very much stepping into their power this month. So what they're going to be doing is getting to a point where they're being pushed to be assertive, but to be loving at the same time and to put that wall where it needs to be. And that's where I was saying, you know, at the moment the masculine's very much dealing with decisions. So it can be whether they tolerate certain aspects connected to exes and connected to karmics. Can your karmic mirror you? In what sense? Mirror you in a sense of you morphing some of your fears into them, yes. Mirroring you in a sense of trying to be who you want them to be, yes, but then that's vibrationally not real. Oh, and I've also got to thank my daughter for setting this up because on the computer it was a bit more technical. Is he in a decision-making frame? I'll answer that one after. I'll tune into your photo. I'll tap into the energy. Next question. I did have Twitter, but it didn't really hit the stage. I do have it. I'll put the information below. Yes, the masculine does actually sense the awakening. Now, for everyone, their awakening will be different. Twins won't lie once that block is removed. Once you vibrationally get to that point where the masculine and the feminine step into their correct energy zone, the lying will not be relevant. No, because too many things are going up, but I will read your energy later. Why do they run? Well, guess what? The feminine's going to run. So why do they run? Because energetically speaking, it's so large that the reality is their karmics, they actually don't let in. So it's their safe zone. It's what the 3D of society says is correct. So because they've been hurt in childhood, what happens is they allow certain people to be in their life that can't venture in. So because you started seeping in, that made them fretful and they had to retreat. Finances directly connected to the twins is very much connected, but again, it's directly connected to a block. Try not to focus on what you don't have. Just believe in the process that everything you physically need is going to be given to you. For the feminines and the masculines, this has been a very heavy year of purging. So the way you're going to need to deal with it is very much do the work. Try and do the work, even the pain, work through the pain, and it's going to give you a hand to actually work through that process. Don't feel guilty. Well, It directly does scare the masculines. Um, because the way they feel about you is unconditional, but they wonder whether you directly feel it's unconditional for them. So, spiritually speaking, they do worry. Directly speaking with your karmic partner, I do feel that them coming into the scenario, if you vibrationally are ready to be in union, this situation will change to a point where either you will or they will, but you're going to do it with integrity. And I do feel it won't be able to be a severing without that rapport and respect. When going through separation, okay, what can you do during separation? Think of it, and I know this is a weird way of looking at it, think of it as a holiday. Think of just union is coming, that it's never ended. You know, spiritually speaking, when you're sleeping, they're always with you. I know it's not good enough, but it is there, and they're always there with you. So think of it in a point if they're on a holiday. They're going on an education, so to speak, and so are you. So all those things that you stopped doing because you were directly connected to your twin, go and do it. Be it a holiday, be it going with your friends, be it opening up a business or starting a career. Do something for you. And just know that it's just a temporary holiday and they're coming back. Yeah, look, if you've removed yourself out of a situation because you know you just felt energetically speaking it's so heavy, connected to union, you're on the right path. And it's a lot of the ways you think it's going to be, it doesn't end up being. So for some of you, especially this year, again, being a number 1 year, you'll be thinking, I will not go unless I'm moving with my twin. But energetically speaking, it'll probably happen directly different to what you physically think. And it might be because you actually do need to have that time where you're willing to take the time with your twin on this occasion. You're willing to do the work. You're willing to look at your own personal flaws and blocks, and you're willing to do the communication. So for the feminine, you might not have communicated what your needs were for fear of them retreating. For the masculine, they may not have showed you for fear of judgment, depending on how it's directly connected. They can be in any country in the world, it won't matter. If you're okay, even psychics directly can connect in through telephone. So, you know, we are all interconnected, all of us. You will be sitting there in the car one day and suddenly thinking a song and turn the radio on and it's there. It's the same thing. Yes, you can feel like you want to be intimate with your twin when they're not there, and that's another sign that they're coming. Yeah, the karmic partnerships are exhausting, but you've got to directly look at, okay, what is the common theme when you're entering into these karmic situations? You know, there's going to be, and it doesn't have to be a common theme. It can just be, is there an aspect of a block directly connected to when the breakup comes about, or what's going on directly in that connection, and how to directly work with it, and try and defer it back onto you and go, okay, what area do I have a block at the moment? Could it be that you feel that your twin's not coming? Could it be directly connected to the fact that you vibrationally don't feel good enough, or that you physically, you might even, your energy I'm feeling is getting tired to the point where you're sick of the karmics, where you, and that's a good vibe to be in too. Okay, a lot of the energy connected to the twin flame union will not fit into the normal paradigms of life. So yes, there might be judgment connected to it. Depending on how the twin flame started in this scenario, you will definitely purge aspects of that, of the paranoia connected to what society feels it should be. Because your energy and your love for that person will be so strong that you will have each other's back. Any other questions? Okay, to confirm if the person's your twin, depending on how long you've thought of this person. Now, again, as I said at the beginning of it, and I'm hoping that it goes up again and everyone can see it later, there'll be signs directly connected to a twin flame, and that'll be something connected to your childhood. I'll try and type them in after. Hi. What else? You will just feel a direct connection with them. And it doesn't mean to say that directly when you met them you were directly attracted to them. I don't believe in that. I do believe just like a knowing, like you have a telepathic aspect connected to you where you know this person, where, you know, they might be thinking something but up in their head and not really communicating it, and you're amused because you can visually see it and sense it. So there's a connection in a sense where you do really, really know. Hello from Finland, where you physically just know what this person's vibrationally feeling. Their attitude towards them being very rough is purging of their emotions. So it's directly, again, connected to their childhood and blocks connected to their safety of letting you in. The reason this has come up in a trigger for them in the past has been it was like a cat being let out of a cage to protect themselves. Hi, Antonella. I can't believe you're still awake. Go to bed. We can have a coffee later. Yes, I've been having very many late nights. I'm very optimistic I'm going to get the videos for November done. You don't need to, because aspects directly connected to their childhood are directly connected to your childhood. So if you directly work on your aspects connected to childhood, it will help them work on them. Because it's, like I said, it's like an umbilical cord. So any triggers that come up that, in your opinion, they should be dealing with, and this could even be drug and alcohol abuse. Where do you have an addiction? Change it to the point that even if you're thinking from a block point of view, the karmic partner or the alcohol or the drugs or the cheating or the sarcasm, whatever you think it is, tune out and work on you. Try and white light them. Try and come to a point where you vibrationally know with your energy and their energy working as a team, it will sort. Signs what? Connected to twin. The closer you come to union, you will get your own personal signs. Now, it might be seeing, 1111. Google numbers when you're seeing them. They're talking to you. Try and directly connect it. I know when I'm doing the tarot, directly connected to twin flames. When I see the devil card, it's directly connected to, the union, the twin flame union, in my opinion. Again, anytime you see a number and it's repetitious, and it might just be randomly, suddenly you haven't seen numbers and then all of a sudden numbers start coming up, and it might even be one. Still Google it, because for that given point in time, what you've got to do is say, okay, at that point in time, what was I physically thinking? And while I was thinking it, when I saw that number, that is the answer to your question. Yes, they can actually remind you of your father, because as they say, you end up marrying your father or your mother, but in a better aspect, if that makes sense. No, not the devil. The devil is a trigger. The devil card, in a sense, is the passion directly connected to what society says shouldn't be. And it doesn't have to be that it's like that, but for some reason, it's the fact that, you're sort of on opposite sides of the page, and then it's helping you bring it into balance where it's harmonious and peaceful. So it's aspects that the card is directly connected to the blocks, connected to the passion, connected to the love and, you know, society's opinion. And then it brings it back down where you work on the energies, where you realize all of us are good and bad. But you're accepting of self, which feminine is very difficult because they've strived for perfection, which isn't real. And the masculine as well. So once you get into that energy field of accepting the good and the bad, you're more peaceful towards other people. Yes, 911, I've seen 711. 911, I do believe, is directly connected to Archangel Michael. Okay, if you've only just started seeing the numbers, again, it depends on how quick you do the work. I mean, for some, it can be a year, 2 years. It doesn't have to be, though. It can be weeks. So it depends on how quickly, you know, your soul works through all the energy. One oh one oh. Again, 111 odd check, but do Google it. Anytime you see numbers and sequences, you know, the 111 is connected to the, the connection of the union. And being a number 1 year, this is very much a year of foundation so that we can all prepare to have that new beginning in the new year. Generally, your connection is before you got here, so before you were born. Even energetically, you might have been growing up and actually thinking of white picket fences and, you know, how you wanted your life to be. Yes, your sleeping patterns will change, especially when you are dealing with aspects connected to your twin flame union. We will have to wind it up soon, so jump the questions in. Give it another 10 minutes. Yes, they do share dreams, and it can be communication. You might, as I said, come to a point where you feel you can't sense your twin, and like they're not alive, and it can panic you. And then you can come to a point where they vividly are communicating with you. Now, for the feminine, you might feel that, you know, you're doing all the communication and then suddenly they're going to enter your dreams. That's okay. You're welcome. Yeah. That's okay. I will be doing more live sessions, and we'll see how it goes. I'll get used to it. That's okay. Most welcome. No, I think energetically you do know what's going to happen. It does come stronger. You physically give up the aspect of feeling a sense that you have to control. Yes, and you will feel happy and sad and going up and down like a yo-yo. And there was a question somebody asked me connected to twin flames having passed over. And I do have a dear friend who is a twin flame whose loved one has passed over. Now, energetically speaking, it will be that you are physically an older soul. Now, it's not to say they can't be reincarnated, so to speak. So they could actually physically come back if they feel vibrationally that their road with you is not finished. But you would be an older soul that is spiritually supposed to help other people on your road. And it's not to say you're not going to have love. But your twin flame will send you a person, you know, for that road and that process. But you're never alone. They are always with you. but you're also very important to other people in a sense of love and children, which is very important. Okay, well, thank you. We all need miracles. We will have them. As long as we're all loving and respectful to each other, we'll be fine. Most welcome. Bye, guys. Talk soon.